Hi, welcome to a special DVD presentation from the law firm of Zimmet and Quarles. My name is Amy, and today I'm interviewing senior partner Ron Zimmet. Mr. Zimmet has been practicing law for 34 years in the state of Florida, and for the majority of that time has dedicated himself to helping victims of serious injuries. So, Mr. Zimmet, your family has roots in Florida, and particularly in Daytona Beach. Tell us about that.
Well, when I was 5 years old, my mom and dad decided it was time to move from New York City to Daytona Beach. I was born in New York City. We lived there for the first 5 years of my life on Riverside Drive, just across the street from a great park which went along the Hudson River. But my mom and dad decided that New York was not the safest place to raise kids, so they decided to move to Daytona.
So you were raised in Daytona and went to high school here also. Tell us why you became a lawyer.
I'm a sea breeze sand crab, proud to have been a high school student here. Went to University of Florida and also to Florida State Law School. I ended up being a lawyer, I think, in great part because of encouragement from my dad, who was a lawyer as well. As long as I can remember, he was saying to me, well, when you go to law school. So I ended up being a lawyer, and frankly, I'm glad about it because I've always enjoyed my work as a lawyer.
That's interesting. What did you do when you graduated from law school?
Well, my first job out of law school was with the Public Defender's Office. I remember going around to a number of interviews with private firms and with the state attorney and with the public defender, and I remember quite clearly that when I got to the Public Defender's Office, I thought, boy, this is the job I really do want to take. Criminal law at the time was really interesting to me. I thought I could make a difference, and fortunately they gave me an offer, and that's where I got started. I had a lot of trials when I worked at the Public Defender's Office. It gave me experience that I think has been valuable throughout my career. I think one of the really important things for trial lawyers to do is to get in the courtroom as much as possible. And boy, when you work for the public defender, that's exactly what you do.
I understand that you argued a case before the Florida Supreme Court. Tell us about that.
Well, you know, I've actually argued a fair number of cases before the Florida Supreme Court. The one I remember the most, however, was just about two and a half, 3 months or so after I got out of law school. Now, boy, I'll tell you what, that's an intimidating experience for somebody who's been a lawyer for 2.5 to 3 months. What happened is that I did an appellate brief as an intern while I was still in law school, and when that appellate brief came up for oral argument, the public defender in Tallahassee, where I went to law school, suggested that I'd be the one to do the arguing before the Supreme Court. So there I go, 7 very somber-looking justices come in, they have their seats, they look at me, they want me to give them answers. They asked a lot of questions. Every once in a while I thought, oh man, this is kind of scary. But I got through it, actually won the case, and since then I've had some other cases with the Florida Supreme Court. Really not quite as intimidating as the first time, but enjoyed it and learned a lot from it.
So you got a lot of great courtroom experience as a public defender. How did you transition from that work to the field of personal injury law?
Well, after a few years with the public defender, I decided I wanted to branch out and learn something new and to get into a new field of law, and so I went into private practice. And one of the first things I did in private practice, now well over 20 years ago, is I helped form an insurance company which provides professional liability insurance and general liability insurance to mental health care providers all around the country. That has really been a learning experience. It's also been an experience that I think helps me in my personal injury practice because I've learned firsthand how insurance companies look at cases. What's the procedures that insurance companies go through when they make decisions about cases? And so I think that's really helped and continues to help in my personal injury practice.
Okay, so now that you represent injury victims against insurance companies, how does that past experience impact the work you do for clients today?
Well, my knowing what the insurance companies are thinking and the procedures that they follow is pretty helpful in negotiations. In all cases now that go to the circuit court, the Florida Rule of Civil Procedure requires that the judge enter an order saying you got to send the case to mediation. And the rule also requires that an insurance company will be obligated to send a person to that mediation who has full authority to negotiate the case up to the policy limits. So knowing on the insurance company's side, where I represent them and have been experienced on that side, helps in that negotiation so I know what kind of things they're thinking about and why they're thinking it.
So Zimmet and Quarles has become a family law firm. And by family, I mean that your two sons are also partners in the firm. What is it like to work with them?
Well, I think a lot of people would be really happy to work with their family members. I'm just especially lucky. Of course, I'm proud of my sons who've become lawyers. And we're lucky because we sit down and talk about all the cases that we represent. We work as a team. And it's easy to talk with them.
Great. So what can we expect for Zimmet and Quarles in the future?
Well, I'll tell you, in the 34 years that I've been a lawyer, there have been a lot of changes. When I first started to practice, my secretary had a typewriter. We would type some things that had to be absolutely perfect, and she had carbon paper and whiteout, and so she'd have to start over again a lot more than she wanted to. So, of course, that's not the case anymore. We've got computers, we've got websites, we've got the internet, and our practice, of course, has evolved over the years and continues to evolve. What we're planning for our future is to continue with the personal injury practice, with nursing home practice, with medical malpractice, and that's our focus. We're going to stay focused in those areas. We think that we're able to do a lot better job for our clients when we focus on those specific areas, and that's where we want to stay.
Thank you for watching. This concludes our special DVD presentation.